Hey everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift. Today we're going to be live with Sascha Haert. He's a business and health coach. So we're waiting for some more people to join in. Hey Sandy, hey Sascha. Okay, Sascha's here. Hey Sascha, how are
Hello,
you?
hello. I am very
Gu-
well.
Guten Tag. That's all the German I know.
That's pretty good. Wait, how can I see myself? Let's see.
Can't you see yourself?
I cannot see myself, but go live with paradigm shifts. I say go live. Okay.
Let's see, we'll get this started again. Hey everybody, how's
Can you
everybody
hear me?
doing?
Hey.
Yes. Hi, can you see me? Can you see yourself?
I'm just having a black. Now I can see you, but I can't see me. But that's no problem. As long as I can see you, that's way more important.
I can see you. So do you want to try joining again, Sascha?
No, it's okay. Let's just go for it.
Sure, that's okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Um you want to try from another device? Is that
No,
no?
no,
You're good?
it's all good. Yeah, let's go for
Okay.
it.
All right. So before we start, let me just read a little bit about you, Sascha, so that our
Okay.
viewers know uh, what you're all about. Sascha is a woman's confidence and a business coach, as well as an entrepreneur, having built and still managing a 6 to 7 figure businesses in Europe and Asia. Success in all these different areas wouldn't be possible without one thing: a deep understanding for people, human behavior, and relationships. His confidence, relationship, and business coaching has a holistic and a personalized approach dedicated to empowering women to be the most capable and loving, confident versions of themselves. That is super incredible. Okay.
Sounds way more
Uh,
impressive than I am.
no. So, Sascha, tell us. You are originally from Germany. So, tell us about your early days in Germany.
My early days in Germany. I mean, I was born and raised in Berlin, and basically I was born in ex-communism because back in the days, Berlin was still united, or Germany was still united to East and West, right? And
Okay.
then at 89, when I was 2 years old, basically the wall came down and the country got reunited. So I grew up in a very, very special, unique, historically quite special time because when
Okay.
a society is basically separated through a wall, and because of the wall, it was until like 45, the people just wanted to go the other way around. They wanted to be as free, as liberal, as creative, as vibrant, as open as they can possibly be. And that's kind
Right.
of the energy that I grew up in, which is, I guess, pretty powerful and unique.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sascha, I have seen in your earlier podcasts and read posts that, you're very, very close to your parents, and you feel that your childhood has laid the foundation for what you do today. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah, back in the days, I wasn't even talking much about it because whenever I said to someone I had a fairy tale kind of childhood and grew up in a environment that just was just filled with love, I can't remember any fight with my parents, which is for a lot of people just unimaginable. But that was my life really, right? But whenever I shared it, what happened is it just created a lot of resentment and anger and sadness and disappointment on the other side, and people just thought I put myself on a pedestal. So I stopped sharing. Even though that's my life, I was like, I don't want anyone to feel like this, and then on top of it, I don't want anyone to believe like this is what I'm doing here. So no, this is actually literally my life story. We didn't
Right.
have fights because whenever there was some sort of argument, we literally sat on a table and we talked about it. So it was just handled with so much respect and love and care and understanding that we are all humans. We have different opportunities and like visions to things, and we just put them on the table and talk about it. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Sasha, there's this very interesting post that you put up which says, trust the person that wiped your bum about. So tell us about that. That is really, always trust the person that wiped your bum. So tell us that story.
Yeah, I mean, look, one, I love my mom. She's a rock. I love her to above everything. And
Oh,
the reality is, obviously, it was supposed to be a little bit like funny and provocative. But if someone like really like wiped your bum, and that's like what parents usually do, they do something that was super, super important. And they do that because they love you, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and then on top of it, whenever something was going on, there was like either amazingly great and I just fell in love, or like I fell out of love and something negative is happening in my life. My mom just picks it up right away. I can be on a FaceTime call. I don't have to talk to her. She just sees it, and
Oh,
the first thing that she says is like, "You're in love." It's like, how do you know that? Kind of thing, or like, what's going on? So
okay.
they just know. And you're like, do you have kids?
Yes, and I
So you
have done
know,
this
right?
exactly with my, yes, because my elder
Exactly.
one, he's 24 and I've done this, and also my daughter. So yes, I've done this a lot. Yes,
So
go
yeah,
on.
having that appreciation and that gratitude and that understanding of like the connection and love that's there. That's
Right.
why I kind of wrote that post. It's like, you just trust them. They know if they tell you like, don't do this. In 99% of the cases, they kind of have a good idea of why you shouldn't do it or why it's a good thing to maybe not do.
Right, right. So you're an athlete, and how has been being an athlete in your youth has helped you today?
Big question. Lots of answers. I was playing professional basketball back in the days, junior national team, playing for Germany, traveling around the world, traveling in and basically everywhere in Europe, having European championships. And it taught me a lot, it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about how to work with a team and how to be successful with a team. It's about winning and losing. It's about helping each other to shine and like embrace each other's genius and understanding I can't win that game by myself. You need a team
Yes,
in
yes,
offense and defense. And if you play on that level internationally, obviously, time management, dedication, sacrifice, like there's so many things that you kind of have to put aside in order to pursue your dreams and in order to like achieve those goals that you have in mind. And I'm just
yes.
translating that into my day-to-day life now.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So Sasha, tell us, how did you begin your coaching practice? What led you into this field?
I do like it happened very naturally, to be perfectly honest. For a long time I was resisting this path. But what happened is, friends asked me a lot, and obviously they were always, female friends. Not so much my guy friends, not really. It was more like
Okay.
the girls who asked me for advice or just like a different perspective. And then it turned
Okay.
into family and then colleagues and like sooner or
Yeah.
later it just turned into like referrals and clients.
Okay. Okay.
And I think the big reason for that is just the power of polarity. And I talk about this a lot. Like the more you'll follow me, you'll hear myself talking about the power of polarity. Because at a very young
Hmm.
age, I learned I wanted. Okay, here's the thing. I wanted to
Yeah.
stop to go to school when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
It's like I don't need to go to school. Like it's fun and whatnot, but like ultimately, I have other plans for my life, kind of thing. And so I talked to both of my parents, and my dad took it like super playful, but basically also let me know like, you got to go to school. My mom, she had a little bit of a different approach. She was a little bit more hardline and told me like, look, I'm going to work. I'm putting food on the table. You got to go to school. And later on, you're the one who's going to work. There was not
Right.
like this super playful, two different approaches. One was a
Yeah.
man, the other one was a woman. Both say the same thing in different
Saying
ways.
yes.
And I just
Right.
realized how important it is to consult both genders, basically, both sexes. And when I
Right.
have an issue, when I want to make a tough decision, I always consult a woman because I want to look at this thing from all angles. I want to
Right.
really like see all the potentialities and possibilities that are
Yeah.
out there before I make a
Yeah.
decision. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I think it just, yeah, naturally happened.
That is so beautiful. You have this very beautiful post. It's almost like the paradigm shift that we keep talking about. That is, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. So, do you want to talk about your paradigm shift or this post or whatever?
It's, I mean, you can take this in many, many different directions. For me, I think the biggest one, it's not so much we see things as we are, we things as what's going on inside of us almost, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
when I'm like having a very negative mindset, when I'm like looking at everything through a lens and a filter that's like very negative, everything I'm seeing outside is going to be pretty negative. And that's the only thing
yes,
that I'm going to attract. And
yeah,
Vipassana meditation, and I'm sure Aaron talked to you about this as well, also helped me a lot in order to really understand what that actually means, because you're forced to sit with your emotions and your feelings and your sensations and everything else and like really truly feel that and observe it and then learn
right,
not to react to it. And once you
right.
understand like the power of it, you're actually able to make those shifts and changes. And having a positive mindset and a positive attitude to life shifts the world that you live in for sure.
Absolutely. I have done Vipassana with you guys, and I think it was absolutely life changing for me. It was beautiful. So
Yeah.
I plan to do it, being there in Bali physically, than than the online thing. So that will be very soon when the lockdowns open, and hopefully it should be soon. That is the key.
Yes. Awesome.
Uh, Sasha, tell us, how did you become a part of the Yogi Lab?
Interesting story, actually. I used to live in Bali. Now it's like 5.5 years. And
Okay.
I knew Aaron for quite some time already. And then he came with this idea, Karma House, to me. I was like, hey, I have this idea. I want to create Karma House, a tattoo shop and charity work and like a cafe and yoga studio and dance studio. And it's like, that sounds dope. So we started working on that and I helped him with a business plan and like, we created the concept together. And then
You
Dave became not only involved into Karma House, but he also approached this idea of Yoga Lab, of us really playing around and experimenting with all those ancient techniques that are out there,
right,
from yoga to meditation to breath work and qigong and all those things that are out there, and to really become a better human being and
right,
become more capable and learn to control our own emotions and like basically get the best out of us and like live up to our true potential, and then
right.
basically share it with the rest of the world, and then soon after Yoga Lab was born. First thing that we did is we went to Vipassana, did a 10-day silent retreat as a team, and
Right.
obviously that opened up a lot of doors for us.
Absolutely. That is such a beautiful story. There is just one question here. Let me see if I can get it. Okay. What's next for you? Okay. Tell us, Sasha, what is the problem with dating these days? Since you're in relationship coaching all the time.
Yeah, it's disconnection, lack of understanding and communication, I think is a big one, and then I think the first big one is we just got used to the grass is always greener on the other side,
Okay.
and those three things of the disconnection that we have with ourselves, because we don't really understand and have any clarity around like who we are, what do we want, what are our values, and
Right.
what do we want in a romantic relationship. And then also we're not able to communicate that properly, and whenever something comes up it ends up in a fight instead of actually a constructive kind of solution based communication. And
Right.
also just like to be able to communicate, who you are, how you are, what do you want in life. And I think
Correct.
those things are quite big why we're struggling nowadays to,
It is.
find a true partner.
Fine finance, and also technology, because I think this blue tick and last seen and everything becomes so difficult and such a daunting pressure on people, that if I have written a message, why hasn't the other person replied since he or she is online? That is, I think, the biggest. Back in our days there was nothing of the sort. There was no internet, nothing, so that we would have pen friends and we would wait like say 15 days or even months together for a letter back
Yeah,
in days.
wow.
So I'm really old. So
Yeah, it's
yes,
it's big, as much as technology connects us, it also unfortunately has a huge impact while we're so much more disconnected with ourselves.
so true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There are women, Sascha, that always seem to be finding the wrong partners. What do you have to say about this?
I love that question. I think the biggest issue for that is it's a lot of unclarity around like what are your non-negotiables? What are your red flags? Because the reason why you're attracting the wrong people and the wrong men, or the other way around, like why guys attract the wrong women, is because they don't know what they do not want. You know, they fall
Oh,
in love with this idea of like, okay, those are all the beautiful things about this man. And
hmm,
then they completely ignore all the negative, the red flags, the non-negotiables that are actually not okay, you know? And that
yeah,
happens because you're not sure, you don't have clarity around what are your core values, and then what is really important for you in a romantic relationship. And since you don't know, you might find a lot of things that you do want, but then at the same time, you're not paying any attention about the things that you do not want. And that's why
right.
you often start attracting the wrong people in your life, because you just
Okay.
miss that clarity.
Yes, so profound. So tell us about your business coaching, Sascha. Like, what exactly do you help budding entrepreneurs or people who want to do startups? How do you
Yeah,
help them?
yeah. It's it all starts with the relationship with yourself, right? You know, you could I guess you could call myself a confidence relationship business coach, but I don't
Right.
like that idea of the relationship coach so much because I feel like there's a lot of room for misinterpretation. But ultimately, what it is the relationship that you have with yourself. Like the more
Okay.
clarity you find, like who you are, what are your values, where do you want to go, what's your dream, what's your mission, what's like your iconic life like,
Mm,
then
mm,
you haven't like you find that confidence within, and from that confidence basically everything else just more or less falls in place. You know, there's
right.
no questioning anymore, there's no doubting, there are no things of like I'm not good enough and can I do this. You just like you have this inner strength and core, and that's what I help them. And then
Okay.
the other part is obviously the business side of things, the entrepreneurship side of things, where sorry, where we all, you know, have our difficulties, and sometimes it's important to just like have that bird's eye view and
Mm,
have someone from the outside to look at things. And you know, I'm German, so
yeah.
structures and systems and organization and efficiency, that's just like what I'm good at. And that's, yeah, that's what I help them with.
Okay. Sascha, there is one question.
Sure.
Tips for maintaining a healthy long distance relationship. Long distance relationship.
Long distance relationship, very good one. The biggest one, communication. You know, like you need to be very clear, what are your desires, what's really important to you, even through distance, you know. And then also understanding the point of we all have our own desires outside of that relationship and supporting each other
Right.
in that, you know.
Right.
And if we don't, and we're ending up in a lot of insecurity and trying to control things, then basically we're creating disconnection. So everything that we can do in order to support each other on our own journey and the other person as well, that's, I think, you know, key. But long distance relationships are just so difficult. You know, I've been in a
So
2 year long
different.
distance relationship, and there was like a 4 hour car ride, and even that was difficult.
Oh my
So
God. Okay.
heads up to everyone who can do it.
You can do it. Sharon says, I've learned what I didn't want through a bad marriage. Oh, that's sad. Okay. Um, uh, Sascha, tell us, is there any one client that pops up in your head when you talk about your coaching history that really drove you up the wall but they've made so much progress in their life today? Is there any story that comes to your mind?
I mean, yeah, of course, there are plenty, but one that's actually quite recent is a client of mine from New York. And she has this beautiful business, plenty of employees, but she just drove herself in complete madness and craziness with like having no structures and no
Okay.
systems. And
Okay.
I tried for so many weeks to really help her to like dial all that in, and she just resisted, which is a common thing, right? Like we like to resist as humans a lot because
Okay.
we rather stay in our comfort zone and the things that we know, and everything else that we would put on top of it is just too much. And that's where she was at. So I had
Oh,
to change my approach a little bit with her, and anything that's personal growth, I just threw it out the window and just focused purely on her business to start
okay,
to give her a little bit more free time. And then
okay.
once she really started to integrate things, what happened is she basically is like, man, I can't believe that I haven't done any of that much earlier. Like, I have so much more time right now. I make more money. And I was like, yeah, because you were a little like really difficult one. I don't want to say the word that I said to her, but she's from New York and I can speak very direct with her. Um, but she
Okay.
loved it. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Sasha, you have this 12-week training program. What could you tell us a little bit about that so that, if any of our viewers are interested, they could sign up for that?
Sure. It's it's a 12-week program. It's pretty customized. It has a structure and foundation that's there. We start with the fundamentals and like some sort of a blueprint of what's your vision and what's your mission and where do you want to go. Then we look a little bit more into your physiology, like really adjusting your lifestyle and your routines and rhythms so they are supporting
Okay.
you. And
Okay.
and then we just go, into communication skills and non-violent like communication and like how can we work better with our employees or in our family or with our partner and like give them a lot of tools, tips, techniques to really optimize their life, basically, and create the foundation that they need to really like live to their truest, fullest potential, you know?
Okay.
So it is pretty customized. There's a structure, but I look what's actually really there and what do we need to focus on. And that's why I dive deeper with them.
Okay. Splendid. Sasha, what are the age groups that you work with?
I'd say it's between 30 and 50.
Hmm.
Yeah.
30 and
I
50. Okay.
Yeah, between 30 and 50. I have a client that right now, she's 51. But
Okay.
like, yeah, between 30 and 50 is, I think, is the range because they
Okay.
have an established business often, and but they want to make some shifts and changes in their life or in their business,
Oh,
and they're not
okay.
starting necessarily from absolute scratch. So there's a
Okay.
little bit of a foundation. But
Okay.
whatever, whoever is willing to like go through a transformation, I'm open if
Oh,
that's a
nice.
good match.
No, why I was asking you this is because normally we find that, when you're a teenage, that's the time when you are like really, building foundations or building paradigms or, screwing up. And that's the time if somebody like you would, who is a coach and who has seen it all in coach people, do you think that is viable, like to start something for teenagers?
Yeah, I mean, if someone has a chance to take on a coach or a mentor at a very young age, it's super beneficial. Just find the
Right.
right one. And ultimately, you want to make mistakes. You want to screw
Oh,
up. You don't want to have everything sorted out at a very young age because then, like, you become my client when you're 40 because you're in your midlife crisis and you don't know what to do. Like, so you want to explore a lot of different things at a very young
right,
age before
right.
you go into one specific direction that's really like an alignment with who you are and what you want to do.
That's a good one, that you want to make mistakes, right?
Yeah, that's the thing,
Absolutely.
right? It's Steve Jobs used to say that. He said, I don't care if we make mistakes because that means we
Huh,
made decisions,
huh.
right? And I think that's so true because if we're trying to make everything right, we're not learning. The biggest learnings that we receive as humans is through mistakes. So embrace those mistakes. Just don't make them over and over again, like really learn from them and then you're fine.
Right. What does spirituality mean to you, and do you advocate this in your coaching programs?
Totally. I mean, spirituality is a big thing for us as Yogi Lab, and there's so many different description and ways how people want to describe spirituality. For us, it's a pretty practical one, to be perfectly
Okay.
honest. It's
Okay.
like one, obviously it's the true, authentic, deep, pure connection that you have with yourself. And like, some call it God, other people call it Allah, and the next one calls it like, whatever it is, source, universe. Ultimately, it's all the same. It's like this deep connection that you have with yourself and allowing like to listen to that from an authentic place. And that's what it is. And all the other things that we do, entrepreneurship and everything else is like with Yoga Lab, we say like entrepreneurship is the active branch of spirituality, you know? So all
Beautiful.
that can be integrated and ultimately becomes your lifestyle. If you live up to that, then like spirituality becomes your lifestyle. And that can be very practical and cool. And it doesn't have to be airy fairy with Shakti Bhakti Namaste and like hugging trees in the forest. Like you don't have to do that and still be spiritual.
Right. I like that one. Okay, tell us, what do you mean by pulling the trigger? That's like one of your.
Yeah. Pulling the trigger. I love pulling the trigger. It's a communication technique that I have developed at a young age for myself, which basically means if there's an uncomfortable situation, conversation that I need to have, I go into this and I basically open it up with like I'm pulling the trigger first. I'll tell exactly what it is that I need to express. So for example, I want to quit my job. You know, a lot of people they're like fearing and having a lot of anxiety just talk to their boss. So then at some point they're actually having finally the meeting and like sitting on the same table with their boss. The first thing that I tell them to do is like okay, there's something I need to tell you. Like I'm going to quit my job. I want to get out of this company as soon as possible because I'll start something new. That's how you open the conversation. Why? Because all the heaviness, the weight that you have on your shoulders is just gone. You know,
No.
it's this first relief. And then you can like completely roll out the whole thing. Like, why do you want to quit? What are the reasons? What are you going to do after? How can we make a proper transition through this? Instead of being 15, 20 minutes in a conversation and you talk around the bush and like you're not really getting to the point and you still
Right.
have this heaviness on you, you know? So pull the trigger first.
That's amazing. That's very good advice. I'm going to keep, do that in the future. Um, how is today's Sasha different from the Sasha in the past?
I mean, obviously, I'm way more conscious and aware, and I've integrated so many more spiritual practices like meditation or yoga or breath work and, you know, just like awareness in general into my life, which allows me just to one, see reality more as it is, and two, just have an opportunity to experience life more to its fullest potential, you know? Because if I'm shutting out and like numbing a lot of things, which we like to do, especially in the Western world, there's like
Yeah.
social media and phones and like, you know, just TVs and like
Yeah.
drugs and everything else. It's very easy
Yeah.
for us to disconnect and like not be in touch with ourselves. But
Right.
now I just feel like I have way more connection with myself than I had many, many years ago. But also, you know, the goals and desires have changed and just allow me to be more in touch with like what's truly important.
So beautiful. Just one second. There was a question. Uh, I can. Okay. What kinds of structure and systems do you think are essential for personal and career growth? If you like to take that one.
I mean, it's a two-part question, right? Personal goals, just get very clear, like what are your desires?
Okay.
What are your values? This is number one. If you don't know what your values are, you can't live a truly authentic life because you know, if you, for example, if one of your truest values is authenticity and honesty, but then you start lying to a bunch of people or like to yourself all the time, you're not really living in alignment with their values. Just
Right.
finding that clarity is key for your personal life. For your business life, or for your business and entrepreneurship opportunities, you got to get very clear about your goals. You know, if you
Right.
know like, okay, here's where I want to go, this is my North Star, then I can then find all the things that I need to do in order to get there. That doesn't mean like you have all the answers right away, but you can have
Yes.
some sort of a roadmap and then align all the things according to that. And then we're coming back to the basketball thing. You got to make some sacrifices, you know,
Yes.
and really start living in alignment with like your values and your dreams. Because a dream without actions, it's still just a dream.
Wow. That is so beautiful, so beautiful. So just before we get into your last messages, or if there are any questions, I want to tell everybody that is joining us from Sascha Haert's side, please follow the Paradigm Shift page. We bring some amazing stories like Sascha and all the other people that are working for the betterment of the society, betterment of self. So please follow us, and everybody that is following us has joined us today from the Paradigm Shift. Please follow Sascha Haert. We will be tagging him in the post, and he put some amazing posts, which are so practical and which are so doable. You know, like trust your mom. That is so doable.
Yes.
Right. So, Sascha, any last messages for our viewers?
My biggest goal for each and everyone out there is basically just to live up to their own truest potential and authenticity, you know,
Okay.
because we only have one life, and it doesn't make sense to try to live someone else's dreams and desires and someone else's ideas of what a real true life looks like, because you have only
Right.
this one. So you might as well like do whatever you think is the right thing for you, because we're born alone and we die alone, and like everything that we do in between is like it's our choice. So we want to live it with a lot of joy and a lot of happiness and like make beautiful connections. And I think the only way to really do that is if you embrace authenticity and like really who you are and get clear of what you want.
That is so, so, so beautiful. So, Sascha, thank you so much for being with us and giving us your time. And, this was a lovely afternoon, your evening, that, we had some incredible advice and beautiful, beautiful messages. I'm just checking if we have any questions. I think we're done. So, thank you so much, Sascha, for joining us.
Thank you very much as well. Have a beautiful day, and it was lovely to chat with you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, guys. Stay safe.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. See you.